Very good afternoon and welcome to Nove Mesto in the Czech Republic for the second day of racing in these Biathlon World Championships for 2013. The mixed relay 2 days ago. Today it is the sprinters' turn to take their place on the start line, and the men going first. A huge field of over 130 athletes entered for this race, and it's pretty difficult to choose who's going to win this one because all the favourites seem to be coming to form at exactly the right time of the season. But there are one or two names that stick out above the rest, and we'll have a chat, I think, with Mickey Grice, who might give us some idea who's going to come out on top in this particular race. Well, let's have a look at the programmes first. The sprint going off at 16:15. That's today for the women's sprint, and the pursuits obviously tomorrow, both for the men and the women. At the same time start tomorrow for the men's pursuit as today's sprint, and then of course we get a couple of days off. That's unusual in a World Championship programme before the individual event, and the men actually getting 3 days off. They're not going to know what to do with themselves around here, and that will be an interesting exercise in keeping themselves occupied and of course keeping their form at the very highest level. The relays later on next week, and then of course the mass starts. Finish it off on the 17th of Feb, and what an event that is going to be, with all the form athletes entering that particular event. Well, the snow conditions are just about perfect. The temperature's been hovering around -4 to -6 for the last couple of days. We had a little bit of fresh snow at 5 to 2 yesterday afternoon, and since that's settled and been pressed, there's been nothing but perfectly cold conditions, and the tracks look immaculate. Well, Mickey Grice.
Bei den Herren sind natürlich zwei.
Obviously retiring earlier this season. He's saying there are two big names that we need to watch out for, Martin Fourcade and Emil Hagler-Svensson. So they'd have a really good season so far. One or two problems with their running form, their skiing form, but that seems to have got a little bit closer over the last few days. And coming into the World Championships with expert preparation, I think it's a difficult one to call. However, there are others that we need to watch out for, says Mickey. Jakub Fak, Andy Birnbacher, the Russians, of course, with Shipulin, who won the last sprint, and he's looking forward to seeing how Terje Bo and Oleana Bjorndalen get on for Norway, as they've had an enormous amount of time to prepare for this race, and he thinks they're going to be on good form. He says whatever, it's going to be a very, very close race. Well, thanks to Mickey, and we'll see how accurate his forecasts are. We'll obviously have a chat with Mike Dixon in a minute and see if he feels Mickey Grice has got the right men to watch out for. Well, Martin Fourcade going through his training routine, and he, like most of the big names, has chosen to go in group number 1 today. Well, welcome back to Nove Mesto. All the athletes for the men's sprint going through their warm-up routines with over 130 athletes. There'll be an enormous amount of time between the first starter and the last starter. That always causes problems if the weather changes, but as we mentioned just before the break, it's been very stable over the last couple of days, and we hope it remains so until the end of today at the very least. Not a lot of wind to contend with, so pretty much a skiing competition at the moment. Vincent Jay, also retiring early this season. He's on hand for Eurosport as well, and he's saying today the championships really gets underway with the first individual event over 10 kilometers. So there are two different ways to approach this race. The athletes that entered the mixed relay already have some idea of their own potential, but they need to be careful that they conserve their energy. And of course there are those athletes who haven't had a run out yet, and they have no idea what sort of form they're in until they get on the tracks today, so they'll be tempted to start very strongly, and that can certainly cost at the end of the run. The first part of the track is flat and then a downhill, so you have to build your speed early in the race. You don't have an option there. He says there's not so much wind to contend with in the shooting range, so we shouldn't see any major surprises. Anyway, he thinks the World Championships really being started today with the individual. I think many people would disagree. Certainly the Czechs would disagree, Mike, after such a fantastic mixed relay. Best mixed relay we've ever had. It had everything in it, except perhaps for the sprint finish between Svensson and Forcada. But to get the home nation on the podium on day one, the perfect way to get the championships underway.
I think so. Interesting that Vincent says that it really starts the day. Well, yes, it does for the individuals, but for me, the mixed relay 2 days ago was one of the best biathlon races we've seen for a very long time. It had everything, as you say, except that little sprint to the line.
Yeah, and some of the big teams making big mistakes. The Germans, well, everyone thinking they had a bad skis on their feet. Henkel was below par, Gustner was losing time to the leaders, and the men didn't do much better. The German technicians or their partners not prepared to admit that they got the skis wrong, but they're certainly under a bit of pressure to produce some results today, and particularly in this men's sprint event, and they'll be looking to Andy Bernbacher, I guess, and it would be nice to see Arndt Pfeiffer come back and show some sort of form.
Well, and I think they've put him, sadly he's at the very end of Group 3 where the conditions will be a little more broken up, on certainly in the ski track wise. But it would be great to see Arndt Pfeiffer come through today. I think Bernbacher, you mentioned, he had a poor relay by his standard mixed relay. I think he'll be back in this one.
Well, not unusually, all the favourites have decided to go early on, and all the big names in Group 1, those who've had the option. 43 starters in Group 1, many more entrants, because even the weaker teams are allowed, or the top 25 teams in the World Cup standings are allowed to enter 4 competitors. So the British go from having 2 to having 4, and the same with many of the minor nations. That doesn't really cause a problem for the big teams, Mike, do you think? Or do you think there's going to be a lot of congestion out there on the tracks, particularly on those technical turns?
It's a good point. You've got some athletes that are in the first group. Remember, there's 43 in the first group, the preferred group. Yes, there's some athletes who have only raced IBU Cup this season. And maybe there will be a certain amount of road blocking, but certainly the faster athlete's entitled to shout track, and the slower athlete must move out of the way. So hopefully there won't be any issues. Have a look at the flags though. Certainly throughout zeroing it's been a little fluctuating as normal, so we saw Malishko struggle with that little breeze from the left, and that cost the Russians certainly a medal. His little error.
Yeah, there you see the tracks. Doesn't give you any idea of the profile. The hills certainly aren't as demanding as they are in Ruhpolding. They'll be glad of that. We're not at the altitude that we were in Antolz, or half the altitude at 800 meters here compared to the 1600 of Antolz. So that will play into the hands of perhaps the weaker athletes. But Mike, it's still, there's not a lot of rest out on this course.
There's not. The athletes are saying it's when you ski it in training, it feels quite easy. When you push it in the race, as they did in the mixed relay, it is a difficult test. I think the 351 meters climb within this 10 kilometers is an indication of how big the hills are out here.
Well, what a stadium they've built. It's a slightly bizarre situation. You travel through miles and miles of countryside with just the odd village. Certainly not showing a huge amount of wealth, and farms, small villages, and then suddenly you come to this unbelievable stadium, perhaps the biggest that we've got on the world circuit now. And the stadium itself seating 24,000 can get into the stadium, and the other day we had almost 27,000 fans coming up. 1 or 2 seats still empty, but we've got a few minutes to go before the start. Hopefully they'll fill up. Certainly with the Czechs getting a bronze in that mixed relay, Mike, that was just the kick-start we needed.
I think they did amazingly well, and the spectators, as you say, 24,000 the other night came in to watch that. Certainly for the home nation, you could not wish for a better start. And a little pressure, you could maybe say today, for of course, Murovitz, who took the last leg and hit 10 out of 10 in the relay. His expectations, or the spectators' expectations, are on his shoulders today. But Michael Schlesinger back in, not as well as he hoped. He's had a little cold lately, but sometimes that maybe takes the pressure off for him.
Well, before the race gets underway, just time to say thanks to those of you who've sent in emails. Do keep in touch throughout the competitions. biathlon.eurosport@yahoo.com. .com or .co.uk. Both seem to be working okay. Stephen wants to know whether Tora Berger's mum was in the crowd during the mixed relay. I haven't got a clue, actually, Stephen. We'll check that out. Lots of Norwegian press here, as you would expect, and we'll do our best to research that one. If she was, she would have been one proud lady, because Tora Berger set an unbelievable standard on the first leg of the mixed relay. Do you think she's going to win this afternoon?
Oh, her form to go in the mass start, to lead it so decisively two nights ago. I think she has to be certainly the favourite for today. Zaitseva did look good, though, in the mixed relay. And, of course, there are the athletes who didn't take part in the mixed relay, who are you could argue, are slightly more rested and recovered coming into this one.
Well, we've got an email from Susan as well, saying appreciating what we said about the French and the Norwegians. The Norwegians have a reputation of being a team of individuals. The French are a fantastic team. Incidentally, after their silver medal in the mixed relay, they went straight to the waxing cabin where they set up a fondue. Typically French, not the sort of place you'd want to be eating fondue with all the fumes going around, but they were there for a couple of hours after the race, just celebrating the fact that things had started well. And when the French start well, they tend to continue on the same vein. So maybe we're waiting for another medal going their way. Martin Fourcade, the hot favourite to win today. But Susan wants to know what the spirit in the Russian team is like. Well, I can tell you that Zaitseva was furious after the mixed relay, because the women did so well, and then the men threw it away. Malishko with that penalty loop. To be fair to Zaitseva, she did go straight over to Malishko to console him, but behind the scenes she was seething after such a good start to the race.
The feeling, though, within the Russian team, you sense the pressure is on them all, but there is good spirit between the athletes.
So the first athletes are on their marks now, and it will be Hidenori Issa of Japan who gets this race underway. Remember, it's a 10-kilometer race, 2 chutes included, first in the prone, second in the stand. Unlike the relay, they only have 10 rounds to hit the 10 targets. Any misses incur that 150-meter loop, which is a long way away from us. It's an oval-shaped loop. In fact, oval-shaped with one side of it, or the bottom end of it, is square. So a couple of really tight corners, and it will sap the legs of energy. So away we go, and Japan hoping for certainly a top 40 would be good for Issa. If he hits 10 out of 10, he's certainly capable of that.
Yeah, well, last year, you're right, he was 56 last year, and I think he missed 2 targets then. He certainly has that potential, and top 40 at World Champs would be quite incredible for him.
Now, we know that Jarkko Kauppanen can go well, but I don't think you bet too much money on it. His record, Mike, he had a fantastic start to the season.
He did. Up in Östersund, he hit all 20 in the individual race. 20 out of 20, finished 10th position. He needs 10 out of 10 today, I believe, to make it into the top 50. You need to ski fast, and he doesn't quite have the ski legs, as say this man.
Well, here is a man who is now ranked number 1 in Sweden. He's gone past Ferry, he's gone past Bergman, and Freddie Lindström looking to do something spectacular. 6th in Ruhpolding in the World Championships last year, hitting 9 out of 10. If he goes 10 out of 10, he's certainly a potential winner, but he's going to have to hope that Svensson and Fourcade, the 2 faster skiers, make mistakes. That is quite possible. Only 23 years old, Lindström, so he's got a long future ahead of him when you consider that we still have men in their late 30s racing at the top level. So Lindström, if he sticks around, could well be one of the big names in a couple of years' time, or may even be next year in Sochi.
Yeah, 23 years old. He's done so much. He's won a World Cup, and he really has potential. Almakov, a really nice guy. Alex had a good chat, or Alexei, I had a chat with him down in Obertiliac. He came along to the Junior World Championships. His story's interesting, Patrick. He had to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to wash dishes, to work before to train before he went to work, washing dishes, to make money to take his 4-month racing season.
Well, there's nothing wrong with working for your passion. Often, the more you do, the hungrier you are for success. He knows that success will mean that he can give up the dishwashing, but he's still got a way to go. Rastogoyevs goes for Latvia. He's made the top 20 before, as we go back out with Lindström, who will be our pace setter in the early stages here. And here's the first climb after a relatively easy start out of the stadium. It's a flat exit from the stadium, then they drop down the hill, but they're soon met by this monster climb that has even made Lindström look a little bit heavy in the first kilometre. But Vukovic of Croatia, 20-year-old. He raced in Hogfilson and Pachuca, but struggled to get inside the top 100 there. And with 136 starters today, it's going to be even harder today. Just a little bit stiff on the skis, Mike.
He is. He missed 7 shots in this race last year. 7 out of 10, so only 30% hit rate.
But here's a man who should do better than that. Tim Burke of USA. Is he the American's big hope today? I think he will think he is. Lau Bailey also with a chance of hitting the podium. But Tim Burke has done it this season. He made it in Pachuca in the mass start, having finished 4th in the sprint, shooting 0-0. He has to go clear to challenge for a win, but Burke certainly is due some more success.
Lindstrom, Patrick, you mentioned he didn't look sharp. He doesn't. He looks like already after just 2 minutes he certainly hasn't picked his pace up, and he's in second place to Isa. I'm a little surprised. I thought he would be taking 10 seconds off Isa after the first kilometre.
Well, that's a sharp start from Andy Birnbacher, the first of the Germans to get underway. 8th in the World Cup standings. Disappointing 16th in Ruhpolding when many of the fans thought he was going to win, but he shot 0 and then missed the last 2 in the stand to ruin his chances of getting anywhere near the podium. The skis are the question with the Germans today, Mike, and we'll look forward to seeing how Birnbacher's getting on at the first split. Incidentally, Caddy Wilhelm is here, whose husband is the German technician. Caddy Wilhelm, of course, a star from a couple of years ago, and nice to see here. Lots of big names floating around, Mike.
Yeah, the World Championships, past legends, they've all come down here to watch and support their national teams.
Dominic Landertinger wearing 10. He's number 11 in the world so far this year. He finished second in the individual in Östersund to get his season off to a really good start. Been a bit up and down since then, so he could do with a bit of consistency this week. He's lightning quick, and if he hits the targets, he could be one who challenges the likes of Svensson and Forcada. So that's 10 gone. We still have 126 starters to go. Welcome back to Nove Mesto. The early starters already out on the tracks in this men's sprint. No one has got back into the stadium for the first shoot so far. Here comes Andy Birnbacher up towards the first split. Rastaguyev's with the fastest at 2:06, and Birnbacher comfortable at 2:06.7 as well. I think that answers our questions, Mike. I think they've got a decent pair of skis on their feet today.
It seems that way, and of course up to that 1 kilometre marker, a lot of it has been flat and out of the stadium, except for the very steep climb up to the split time marker at 1 kilometre.
Pășianu for Romania, who I don't think he'll be expecting to make the top 60, but that will be his challenge to ensure that he gets a race tomorrow. Number 22, Jaroslav Sukup. He already has a bronze medal in his bag, and he would not have dreamt of that 2 months ago, coming back from such a dreadful accident. Congratulations to him. Commiserations, I guess, to Mikael Schlesinger, who was the strongest Czech, but didn't get a place, didn't get a start in that mixed relay because he wasn't 100% healthy. He's on the start list today, though. Number 14 is Haiben Shen of China, and the Chinese, a team that have disappointed over the last couple of years. Back in, 2006, they really did show a lot of promise.
They did, and they're certainly evolving and developing the youngsters. We saw that last year in Innsbruck with the first ever Youth Olympics. They took a title, they took a gold medal there, the Chinese, so they're certainly developing from a young age, but they seem to be missing at this level.
Krasimir Anef in a suit that looks very similar to the Norwegians. He's 25-year-old. Certainly over the years his best results have come in the sprint event, so he'll have high hopes today. 16 is Kalovic for Serbia. 10,000 meters the distance. Over the years, Mike, when did you start? 1980? 1970?
It feels like 1982 I started.
1982. What was the average time for a 10 kilometre in those days?
Well, to be honest, it would have been about 26, 27 minutes.
And nowadays?
In this race, you would expect, 23, 24?
23, 24.
Yeah.
The point of the question is how much of that change is due to the equipment?
A lot of it is. It really is the lighter skis, the lighter ski poles, the boots, the system of balance. It all makes margins. And of course the track preparation. It's very different from what it was 30 years ago.
But all the top teams, and certainly Anton Shapulin's team, will have the very best equipment available. Nice stiff boots have certainly made skating a lot easier, and Shapulin will be hoping for great things. He's ranked number 7 in the world. Here is Jean-Philippe Legelec, who famously won the very first sprint this season, the first North American to win a World Cup. What a staggering figure that was, and it came in at the very end of 2012. Legelec has dropped away since then. I'd be surprised if he came through to win, but you never know with it's now 19 days since the last of the World Cup races, so a lot of time for form to either go up or down. Lindstrom coping with the crosswind quite well at the moment. Left to right it's blowing.
He needed that one. He's picked up his pace, Lindstrom, so his first kilometre was just getting into his rhythm, and he set the fastest time into the range. He needed that last shot though.
Do you think that rules him out of a podium finish?
Yes, I really do. I'll just try and get time on this penalty loop. Yes, unfortunately he's taking it so wide so that he can take this apex tight.
Adam Kwak of Poland, and the Polish put up a very good fight in the mixed relay on Thursday. Their women in particular were proving themselves to be world class. Kwak not racing in the mixed relay, so he'll be fully rested, but many of the athletes feeling that run out 48 hours ago is very useful for bringing your form up for the rest of the championships. Now Terje Bo, he did get a place in the Norwegian mixed relay ahead of Oleana Bjorndalen, and he came home with the gold medal. What a fantastic performance it was from him. Only 42nd in the World Cup standings, but don't read anything into that because he missed the first half of the season, and Terje Bo has shown himself to be on very good form.
I think everything about him there, Patrick, is what we saw 2 years ago when he was really at his best and winning I think he won 6 races that season. So Terje Bo for me is certainly a podium contender without a doubt. Would be a great story if Jaroslav Sukuk could get another medal here, bronze medal in the mixed relay 2 nights ago. Well, all 20,000 fans are on his case. They want him to win. What a story to have such a serious injury with a bad mountain bike fall in August. Broken shoulder, broken arm, and he's been rebuilt. They didn't think he'd ever race again.
Well, the crowd are dreaming of more success for the for the Czechs, I should say. Here's Tim Burke. I know that Laura and Michael, 2 of our fans, are looking forward to success, but that's a bad miss from Tim Burke. Number 4 has gone wide. He's good. He's very quick, but he's not as quick as the top 3 or 4 in the world, and therefore he does need that perfect shoot to challenge for a podium position. But if he gets a good run today, he's a man who's confident in the pursuits and he can move up the order. Andy Bernbacher, he's won this season already, and with this sort of form, yes, he could well win again. That's a great start for Andy Bernbacher. The last target going down at 8:08, and so we'll get some idea of how long it takes them from the range to the stop point. So that's 12 seconds from the mat to the timing wand, but don't forget they'll all be shooting on different lanes, so that will vary a little bit.
I'm surprised Andy's only 9.6 seconds ahead of Lindstrom, who went round the penalty loop, so not skiing nearly as fast as the Swede.
Terje Bo up with the fastest. Pukiani of Romania has the fastest time. I think he's probably had a bet with some of his teammates that he can clock the fastest time up to that kilometre marker. Now the first of the Austrians, Dominik Landertinger, just slightly low right, but safely in.
Very sensible, Patrick. He adjusted his sights to the left, so the fall of the shot so far quite central.
Not bad grouping. That would have gone through a 2-pence piece, certainly. All 5 shots. Number 3 going slightly high and left, but Landesinger will be happy with that. He's got through what is perhaps the hardest shoot. Certainly in the olden days, Mike, the standing shoot was the one that everyone feared. I think that's changed around a little.
It seems to be, especially on the far right of this range, the wind is a little more difficult from lanes 1 to 10 than from 10 to 15. I know I would shoot in between 10 to 15. More stable there.
Well, there you see signs of the wind that's coming over the top of the stadium, and with all the scaffolding stands in place, it makes it a little tricky. Even Martin Fourcade is going to have to be on his mark today, fully focused for the job in hand, once again looking totally relaxed. But once the bleeps go, Martin Fourcade is away, and that is the quickest exit we've seen from the stadium so far today. Beautifully balanced, immensely strong. He showed signs that he's on good form in the mixed relay, Mike, but were you not slightly surprised he didn't have enough to close the gap on Svensson on that last lap?
He closed marginally, but yes, I was surprised. We saw him attacking and closing the gap substantially, then he would back off. So yes, his form is good, and I think with a 10 out of 10 hit rate here today, I think he'll take it.
Well, all the talk is the duel between Svensson and Fourcade, and I think in those situations, unlikely contenders can come through unnoticed. Pukianu paying the price for skiing a little bit too hard. You can still see he's struggling to control the breathing.
I'm very, very impressed with that ski time. It's the fastest into the range.
But 2 misses, 300 metres, at least 50 seconds added to his time.
That's the great thing with biathlon. You've got to balance the two. Do you kill yourself out in the track and therefore putting yourself off on the shooting range? Good to see Schledemark for Greenland.
45 years old now, and slightly uniquely able to compete for Greenland. He's not allowed to compete for Greenland at the Olympic Games, has to race under the Danish banner, but the qualification for Denmark is much, much stiffer than it is for Greenland. But nice to have them represented.
And Ev, because of this wind, he's added that huge weight under the foresight. That's about 250 grams. And mainly for the stand position, if the wind is blowing, it really stabilizes the rifle, and he shoots so well.
Well, that's a good start from Krasimir Anef. 0:08:20 is the fastest so far. He won't be far off that leading time. Here we go with Svensson, starting exactly 2 minutes down on Martin Fourcade. He has the perfect start position today. A couple of 3 slower skiers between himself and Martin Fourcade, and that will help him. That will give him the urge as he blasts past the likes of Sloof and Schledemark, and he'll catch Korea's Yun as well. But what will he do as far as Martin Fourcade goes? I think he's unlikely to match him across the snow, Mike, but Svensson, I think, must have taken some encouragement from his shooting in the mixed relay.
Yes, he must. And this wind, so far, we've only had 1, 2, 3, 5 out of 15 who have shot the perfect 5 out of 5 in the prone.
Nice and sent. Oh, those number 3, a long way right.
Do you know, I'm surprised he did not adjust that sight by 3 or 4 clicks, moving the fall of the shot. Look at the flags. They're blowing the shots down and to the right, hitting at 4 o'clock within the golf ball size target.
Number 3 in the World Cup standings at this stage of the season. 14 races already completed of 26 for the season. Yevgeny Ustigov, 27-year-old. He's been shooting brilliantly in the pro, and surely he'll be able to cope with this wind, but has let himself down a little bit in the standing position. Legelic throws number 1 wide, but now he's got himself on target and finishes with 4 out of 5. That's okay, but he knows that that's a bad mistake. Very expensive indeed, and we'll try and get the stopwatch on the penalty lap so we can find out exactly what it's costing those who've missed.
Legelic again taking it wide. It's sensible to take it wide up this part because there's your tight corner. Legelic not looking on fire as he did earlier in the season.
Well, Well, that's about 23 seconds a lap on the penalty loop, which is about average. Mike, of course, it's the same distance as normal. Out goes Lindström. He's missed one on each of the shoots, which is one worse than he did last year in Ruhpolding. That's a real shame for Lindström. He is medal potential here today, but that's expensive mistakes from him. So 80% hit rate on the day. Here we go with Terje Bo, and the Norwegian fans enjoying the fact that his time is good. Andy Bernbacher hit his last target at 8:08. They're pretty much neck and neck. Absolutely neck and neck. Again, that slightly raised foresight. Mike, do you want to explain why they've gone for that, the Norwegians?
It's you have to, when you raise the foresight, you must raise the rear sight as well. And it just gives a better feel in the stand position. Basically, you don't have to crouch down. It's mainly for the stand position. You don't have to extend your neck quite as far.
Jaroslav Sukup. Is he going to add to his medal tally today? He's just 5 or 6 seconds maybe. In fact, not even that. He's 2 seconds at the most behind the race leaders at the moment. Terje Bo leads for Norway. Sukup goes clear. Mike, he's come to form so quickly. It's a phenomenal comeback. We've talked about his injury many times. But to get back to this level, 5 seconds outside the best, it's a fantastic effort.
I watched him for 18 days on the glacier at 2,700 metres. And with no tension, with no fear, he had no expectations. He was just endlessly skiing with no ski poles, only working his legs. He kept his mind calm, he kept training, and he said, well, if my arms work later, they work. If they don't, at least I'm trying. And then he built the strength in his arms. He's quite an amazing person. Very calm, very controlled, and doesn't really feel the stress or the pressure.
Benny Vega doesn't have too many expectations on him, apart from the fact that he's the Swiss #1. He won a World Cup last year and showed a lot of promise. A little inconsistent this year, but he starts with 4 out of 5 now. Andy Bernbacher on the range for Germany. He's shooting on lane 17 he's on.
17 it is.
And can just about see his targets.
He's missed one.
I think he's missed the first one. He has.
Oh, you would not expect that from Andy.
Oh, so 2 misses. It's exactly the same story as Ruhpolding last year, except the order of the misses wasn't quite the same. 2 more misses, another 25 seconds. In fact, we'll try and time Bernbacher round the penalty loop. Away he goes.
Just as he's going round, Fourcade is, well, he's coming in soon, but he's set the fastest time at 2.3 kilometres.
Shortly to be beaten by Emil Hegler Svensson by 2.4. So that duel is developing already in the early stages of this race. Here's Derry Zemlier of Ukraine. Now, he had a bad mixed relay. He could do with hitting the targets today. Outside the hotel this morning, doing about 50 press-ups. I was slightly confused at that, but nice way to wake up. 5 out of 5, much better from Derry Zemlier, and only 10 seconds or so slower than the best so far.
This is a great day for Dirk Zemlier. He's got the 3rd fastest time on the track, and he's only 3 seconds behind Svensson and 0.6 of a second behind Fourcade. So wouldn't that be a great story if he could come back? He hasn't had a win since, well, 10 years ago, Dirk Zemlier.
Now, the defending champion, Martin Fourcade, remember 3 golds in Ruhpolding last year. He says he just wants 1 this year. That's, I think, a way of playing down his own expectations. He knows if he shoots well, he could clean up.
Look how accurate he is. The fall of the shot, well, apart from that one, was central.
A little bit lucky with 4, but number 5 is bang in the middle again, and the time is absolutely sensational. 6 seconds up on Terje Bo. How quick is he coming out of the stadium? Even better, 10 seconds the margin. Martin Fourcade has started in the best possible fashion in the defence of his title from last year. What a phenomenal athlete he is. He looks strong in the mixed relay, but all the time, Mike, he looks relaxed. He looks as though he's got things under control. And here's his teammate, Jean-Guillaume Betrix.
Yeah, you mentioned Fourcade. Outstanding, and for me, he's one of the greatest ever. I know he hasn't the titles likes of Björn Dahlen, but he's brilliant.
Well, we haven't seen much of the Italians, but here is their number one, Lukas Hofer, who had a pretty good race in the mixed relay. Italy finishing in fourth, which they certainly would have settled for before the race, and in fact they weren't far off the third place that was taken by the Czech Republic, and Lukas Hofer was the man really who put them into contention.
He was, and look at the intensity. I think Hofer's going to set the fastest, certainly at 1 kilometre, certainly at 2.3. I think Hofer is going to be in the top 3 fastest ski time today, but he needs to hit 90% if he wants a medal.
Well, Svensson needs to hit 100% if he wants the gold, because his nemesis has gone clear. Fourcade is out of the stadium, leads the way with that time of 8:09. Svensson is fractionally quicker. He's gone for a little adjustment. Was that 1 click or 2?
I thought that was 2 or maybe even 3. The flags are being a little kind to him. Then you can see, you mentioned his foresight, it's been raised up. The rear sight is on a block, it's been raised up as well.
That's good shooting. Very good shooting from Svensson. Number 3 was a little bit close to the line, but Andersen likes it, and the Norwegians are in contention at the moment. 8:09 is going to be bettered, not by much, 3.1 seconds the margin. Certainly neither of the top 2 men can afford mistakes today if they want to take that gold medal, but Martin Fourcade will get the news that Svensson is on his back.
He certainly is. Svensson wasn't over delighted with his performance, the gold medal performance in the team relay. He didn't quite feel his form was where he wanted it to be, but, well, today it's looking great.
Well, delighted with the gold medal, certainly, but he didn't feel his ski form was 100%. But he was quick enough, Mike. He didn't let Fourcade close too much. He skied a steady race. He didn't have to do anything else but just to ski steady.
I think when you're Svensson and Fourcade, you want perfection every time, and you question yourself if you don't produce that perfection.
Now, this man is about as close as you get to perfection in the prone position. 95% hit rate for Ustigov this season. Just about to go up to 96. Excellent, excellent, and it's very quick as well. He's not far off the leaders. He'll certainly be within 10 seconds of the lead. Anton Shapulin, will he go clear on the stand? He does, and that puts him into a very strong position. 16:50 should be equal by Krasimir Anev. Has Anev gone 10 with 10? I think he must have done. We'll just update you on the second shoot.
He normally does. Yep, 10 out of 10 for Anev.
So Shapulin quicker over the snow and should be able to take the lead when he comes across the line. Lindström with those 2 misses will not be happy. 24:03 is a good time, but we're expecting a winning time of closer to 23 minutes today, maybe even 22:50.
I reckon you're in there, 22:55 maybe. But it needs to be 10 out of 10 to achieve that.
So with Lindström missing, the Swedes now hoping that Bjorn Ferry and Carl-Johan Bergman can do the business on the range. Here we go with Alexi Berth. Now, he looked in fantastic shape 2 days ago in the mixed relay.
Remember, he put an incredible first lap time in, or over the 2.5 as it was then, and I think he suffered later because of that.
Yeah, I think he's controlled himself on this first lap, Mike.
Interesting, he's pulled his sights, so I can understand why the flags have dropped right off, so he's pulled his sights the other way. Effectively, the fall of the shot now should move further to the right. He was accounting for the wind from the left.
And still the flags are steady, and it pays dividends. So good shooting from Berth. It would have been nice to see the close-up on that one. 0 for him, and the time will be some 10 seconds outside the leaders. As Terje Boe goes through his second shoot, there's the first miss for the Norwegian. Slightly uncomfortable looking position for Terje Boe, and number 5 has cost him a chance of a medal. 2 penalty loops, some 45 to 50 seconds he'll spend before he's back out on the tracks, and his time will get nowhere near Krasimir Anev of 16:50. Shapulin on 16:57 should be able to overtake Anev on the last lap. Sukup, now this would be sensational if he went clear.
You can see his left hand, the rifle stock has been built in to fit his fingers to pull the rifle into his shoulder gently.
Well, he'll never have competed in front of 20,000 of his own fans. 4 and 5.
Andre Ribar is, he thought this amazing journey was going to come to a great conclusion.
It would have been a dream start, but now they have to hope that Mikael Schlesinger can do something, and he's certainly capable of that. And Moravec, of course, who took the last leg in the mixed relay. So 2 penalties, just the same as Terje Bo.
Welcome back. Andy Birnbacher just crossing the line. You can see his shooting score 0 in the pro and 2 in the stand, and 46 seconds behind. Take away those 2 penalties, it would have been a new lead time for certain. Landetinger, well, he's not going to beat Lindström's time, and missing 1 target, just losing some of his great form that he had prior to these World Championships. 20 seconds behind. So it's certainly not an Austrian day. I don't think that time is going to be good enough to keep him in the silver medal position.
So, Martin Fourcade. 5 out of 5 in the prone. So far, the perfect attempt to defend his title. These are the hardest 2 shots. Well, that could prove expensive. You can see the frustration on Fourcade's face. Now he has to ski like the wind if he wants the goal today. Simon Schemp, 2 mistakes in the stand, and everyone's starting to suffer, partly due to the pressure of the World Championships, and partly due to the course, which is, as you said early on, Mike, it's easy to ski steady, but it's very hard to race.
It is, and the timings that we're seeing out on the track, there's quite a lot of close ski timings, so it's not at the best are not able to separate a huge amount of time from the athletes prior to these championships who were...
Well, this is a quick lap from Martin Fourcade, and despite the fact that he's done a penalty, he is still 9.4 seconds clear of everyone else. That is a sensational time, but he'll need to push and push and push, because Svensson has yet to come in for his second shoot. Svensson started exactly 2 minutes after Martin Fourcade. Lukas Hofer keeps his hopes alive. That is quick. It's very quick from Lukas Hofer. What will the time be? 8:06 to beat. He's got a little way to go. He's only going to be some 4 or 5 seconds outside, and if he goes clear in the stand and Svensson misses, then there is a chance for Italy to take what would be a very rare gold.
That would be an amazing story. Svensson out on the track at 5.8 kilometers. He's 3.5 seconds ahead of Fourcade's time.
I think Svensson coming in to shoot now along past lane 25. I think he's gone for something like lane 24.
Fourcade shot on lane 29 or 28 it was, in fact.
The wind is quite strong, left to right. Anef across the line, 10.3 outside the time set by Lindström. No real surprise there. The first, Svensson, I think, has a miss. He's hit 4 out of 5, if I'm looking at the right target. We'll get you updated on that. He has, so the same time as Martin Fourcade. It is all about the last loop. 16:41 from Fourcade. A penalty loop to pay for Svensson to try and beat his great rival from France. Away he goes, takes the first corner. It's still very, very quick. We'll track Svensson round his last loop as we see Anton Chapulin coming in to finish. 9 out of 10. And 24.03 is going to be well beaten, so we have a new leader here, and it's the Russians with Chapulin. 5.1 inside, and Russia needs some good news after their disaster in the mixed relay. A penalty loop from Malishko, putting them out of contention for the medals, and they were bitterly disappointed.
They were. Their only expectations was a medal. I'm looking at Svensson now, and it looks like his expectations have risen. He's 10 seconds ahead of Fourcade after the penalty loop.
Yeah, shooting very fast. He was about 3 or 4 seconds quicker than Fourcade to get the first target down, and that's an easy way to gain time, but a risky way.
It is, but advantage Svensson because he started only 4 positions behind Fourcade, so getting all the split timings.
Ustikov knows his chances have gone of winning. All the athletes well informed on the way around the course as to where they stand. Most coaches giving them positions relative to their team members, but certainly Fourcade will only be interested in what Svensson's up to and if anyone else is getting close. Quite difficult for Fourcade, Mike, starting 2 minutes ahead of Svensson. Do you think they'll get news to him that he's got to make up 6, 7, 8 seconds?
Absolutely. The split timings when Svensson went off this penalty loop, immediately the French were radioing out onto the course to save Fourcade. You've got to find 10 seconds in the last 2 kilometres. Is it possible? It is possible for Fourcade, if anybody.
Well, the next split we'll get is at 7.8 kilometres. Fourcade is already through in a time of 18:44, and Svensson should be there shortly. The Gaelic of Canada, 3 misses. It will not be his second victory of the season. In fact, he'll be a long way down and will struggle. He's already 1 minute 11 behind the starter in the pursuit. It could end up being closer to 1:30, and that's a massive margin to try and make up. So a disappointing start to the championships. The wind builds. A little bit of bad luck for Jakob Fak.
Well, I think Fak is used to this type of wind. It's not unsimilar to Pokljuka, these conditions.
That's not bad at all, Mike. He's quicker than Ustigov to that stage of the race. We'll try and update you on Fak's time when he comes out. Alexi Buff.
This is brilliant. It's amazing. Very
good. Now Svensson could be in a little bit of trouble. 16:31 because he's in the standing position. He's got a little further to ski before he exits the firing point. So Buff will be just a few seconds outside. What is the time? He goes into third place, 10.4 behind Svensson, only 0.4 of a second down on Martin Fourcade. Lindström still leading in the finish area, but he knows those 2 misses mean that he has not got a chance of taking gold today. But I think even with 2 misses, Mike, he's going to get a reasonable start in the pursuit, and we might see him do something well. Very good there. Sukup, like Lindström, missing 2, but both coming on at the end of his shoot.
Missing the last 2 shots, Patrick, to hit your first 8 and then melt on your last 2. It really has to have been this pressure from the crowd and the expectations after his bronze medal in the mixed relay.
A top 10 would certainly keep Sukup happy at the end of today, and he's shooting well enough to go 20 with 20 in the pursuit. 58 seconds the margin at the moment. He goes ahead of Tim Burke of USA, who we saw early on. Tim Burke, incidentally, missing 1 and 1, so exactly the same as Freddie Lindström. Now, a familiar figure that we haven't really spoken about very much this season. He's been absent for a lot of the races. Problems on the track, problems at home. It's been a difficult season for Ole Einar Bjorndalen, and we asked the coaches what sort of shape he's in, and they said, we don't know, he doesn't know. We're about to find out. The time is sensational. This is the comeback kid. Ole Einar Bjorndalen is looking for his 50th World Championship medal today, and he has started in the best possible fashion. He has the lead. What a sensational run. What is it, Mike? A phenomenal amount of events that he skied in. I think he's done 100 World Cup races, just under 100 World Championship races, 49 medals to his name already. If he can make it number 50 today, it would be a huge story, and it's vitally important as we watch Fourcade coming in. 23:58. It's a fantastic finish from Fourcade, and it may be good enough to fight off the likes of Emil Hegler Svensson, who's out on the tracks at the moment. A brilliant last lap from Fourcade. He hasn't had to put a sprint in on lap 1 or 2, and he's shown that he's still strong over the closing 2.5, 3 kilometres. 0-1, the shooting score, 9 out of 10. Will it be good enough to defend the title?
I don't think so. I think Svensson getting the split timings, it was 10 seconds. In fact, it's down to 9.8 seconds, so Svensson will not let this one go. But can Bjørndalen spoil the party? Wouldn't that be sensational?
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so. And a lot of Norwegians saying that if Bjørndalen doesn't perform today, if he misses 2 or even 3 in the stand, he may not get another race in the Norwegian team. And Sochi, his dream of going to the Olympics next year, will be over. And I believe he's also interested in racing in 2016 as well.
He is, and it's a moment in Bjørndalen's career where he has to provide. The pressure on this one race for Bjørndalen is huge after 20 years on the World Cup circuit. This looks very good for Beatrix until now.
How quickly things can change. Well, we better have a look at the first shoot just to see how many others are challenging. The top 3 after the first shoot at the moment: Bjørndalen, Svensson, Forkada, and Lukas Hoffa in 4th place. The crowd are getting excited, which must mean one of the Czechs is on the range.
I'm just thinking, Beatrix there, Patrick, he was in lane 29, which was perfect conditions, and just the pressure getting to him. Svensson coming in to take this one, I think.
23.33, he's not got far to go. Emil Hegler Svensson with another 20 metres or so. It's going to be a comfortable victory. He started the lap 10 seconds behind. He's lost 2, but it doesn't matter. He still has a crucial lead over Martin Fourcade, and I think a medal is guaranteed for Svensson today. It's just a question of what the colour is. Fourcade the first to go, and congratulate him. It's nice to see this duel. It's all been about Martin Fourcade over the last 18 months, Mike, but it's nice to see Svensson back.
It is. Do you know what, Patrick? We so rarely see Svensson showing any weakness in any part of his game, and he very rarely drops down onto his knees. He's one of the few athletes that will stand tall, so he has taken himself over his normal limit.
Well, as you said, he had that great advantage of starting after Fourcade, but when it comes to the last lap, you know you're going to have to work harder than you possibly want to. Now, Dmitry Malishko, we were slightly surprised he got a place in the Russian team, but they said no, he's our number 1, and we'll forgive the mistakes in the mixed relay. Oh,
he's making up for it.
Look at this. The time will be fantastic, and Svensson cannot start his celebrations quite yet. 16.25 on the clock. 16.31 is the time he's after. He's got another 10 metres before he turns to the left and then goes past the timing wand. He's going to have 5 or 6 seconds to make up. 5.8 in the margin. 2nd place, I think, is possible. Can he catch Svensson?
A great advantage being given the split times. To pick up 5 seconds, I honestly don't think he's going to be competitive on this last 3.3 kilometres. He hasn't the strength or the fitness that we saw after Christmas when he won 3 in a row, so I don't think he's going to do it.
Malishko's teammate Ustikov just coming into the finish, 24.03, 5th place. That's good and solid. The Russians have had a great season, Mike. They've got 4 men in the top 8 of the World Cup standings, and that is, that's almost unheard of since the days when Germany dominated.
That is true. It's been a long time since Russia have been so strong. Pulin, well, make the most of it.
Yes, he knows that Malishko is certainly going to go ahead of him as the number 1 Russian. Svensson there has taken the lead. His time at the 2nd shoot, 16.31. Malishko, Forkada. There's one name missing. Ole Einar Bjørndalen, who is out on the tracks. He's halfway round his 2nd lap, and don't forget he has the fastest time by a 1 second margin after that first shoot. Bjørndalen, who made his debut back in 1994, taking the place of Erik Kvalfoss in the Norwegian team. Kvalfoss certainly wasn't happy that the young pretender was coming through, but ever since then I think Bjørndalen has more than proved his worth, as we see Alexei Berf coming in. 0-0 the shooting score, and that is good enough to go into 3rd. Chapulin is pushed out of the podium positions, and the French have 2nd and 3rd at the moment. Will it stay that way? Well, Malishko has got to prove himself, Mike, and I think he'll be a bit angry after that mixed relay, so I think we're going to see him putting in a fantastic final lap.
He's definitely going to take himself to his limit.
Now, this is competitive as well. Jakub Fak. Fak down in 5th place at 5.8 kilometres. Ho-ho! It is sensational, and Svensson's time will be beaten. We've already had a medal for the Czech Republic, the Slovenians who did so well in Ruhpolding, and of course Jakub Fak is the individual world champion. He'll be defending that title at the end of next week. He comes out, and the time 16:36, 5.8 to make up on Svensson. Malishko's in trouble, Forcada's in trouble, and Svensson will be nervous.
Svensson will definitely be nervous. And, well, advantage Fak, I think. He's a man who can take a lot. We saw it in Hochfilzen. He had the fastest last lap in the pursuit competition.
Yeah, we'll get him at 7.8, and we'll track him again at 9.2 with just 800 metres to go as Simon Eder comes through. Good start from Simon Eder. He shoots quicker than anyone else in the standing position, so if he goes 10 out of 10, he'll be in a competitive position. We're still waiting for Bjorn Dahlen to come in for shoot number 2.
But Bjorn Dahlen, he's lost a little time. He's 2.7 seconds behind Svensson at 5.8 kilometres.
That doesn't matter, Mike, because Svensson missed one target. If Bjorn Dahlen goes 5 with 5, I think he's got to hit 5 to get the gold. If he hits 4, he can still get into the top 5 or 6. But would you agree with me that he needs the perfect shoot on the final shoot to
totally
take the top prize?
I think so. We're seeing him dropping a little on the pace halfway through the race. Well, 5.8 kilometres. Yes, he needs 5 out of 5, Bjorn Dahlen, if he wants this another victory and to remain securely in the Norwegian team.
Well, Bjorn Dahlen has eased up dramatically on his approach to the shoot. He slowed down some 400 metres. He's now coming to a grinding halt. Which lane is he going for? He wants lane number 29. I think he's been informed that the easiest win to cope with is in lane 29 and 30, but lane 30 was occupied. Here we go. Well, here we go. This is what we need. The pictures of Ole Einar Bjorn Dahlen. 5 with 5 to claim his 50th World Championship medal. The first 3 are relatively easy. This is where he will start to struggle.
The most important shot of his life, that was. What a pity.
Oh, my goodness. Well, anyone who said he was finished will have to eat their words, because Ole Einar Bjorn Dahlen has proved once again that he is a potential winner, and that is why he got the run today instead of Bjørntegard, because they knew if Bjorn Dahlen shot well, he was a potential medalist. Well, he may still get a medal. He was 25 to 1 with the bookies this morning, and my goodness, those who had money on him will be somewhat frustrated at the moment. 1 penalty to pay, and I think the margin, Mike, could be something like 25 seconds between himself and Svensson.
It's actually only 10 seconds, just come off the penalty loop. 10.2 behind, so he's just behind Forcade.
Just behind Martin Forcade, and he's 5 seconds down on Jakub Fak. He's 5 seconds down on Dmitry Malishko. All those men in very, very good form. Can the 39-year-old Norwegian match that over the last 3 kilometres? I think it's unlikely. He skied so quick on lap number 1 that it's hard to believe he's got anything left for the final 3Ks. But he surprised us before, and maybe he'll surprise us again today. We will track him. We need to see Malishko out on the tracks. Malishko's gone through 7.8 and is now 11 seconds down, so he's lost 5 seconds to Svensson already. Jakub Fak is the man who's going best on his last lap. He's not got closer to Svensson, but he's held his margin ahead of Martin Forcade. So Jakub Fak is looking for silver at the moment.
Jakub Fak is one of these athletes that when it matters most on the big day, he produces what is needed.
23:25 is the target time for those out on the tracks. It's going to be tough to match. Martin Forcade just a couple of seconds, 8 seconds down on that leading time of Emil Hegle Svensson. Well, here is Svensson. A little less tension in that left eye than we've seen at other stages of this season.
Yes, sometimes it almost closes his left eye. One of the few athletes that doesn't have a blind to take the left eye out of it.
Anderson, who coached the Norwegian junior team for many years, he was somewhat, wasn't nervous, but I think he was a little anxious about taking over duties with the senior team. Now, Dmitry Malishko, 11 seconds down when we last saw him at 7.8. 23.25 has long gone. The margin has grown to closer to 15 seconds. In fact, it's going to be more than that. So Malishko found wanting over the last 3K. It was a fantastic start, and once again, clearing all 10 targets. 23 seconds. He's into third place, and a bronze medal at the moment for the Russian. But will it be good enough to stay there? I don't think it is. I think Fak could beat him. I think Bjorn Dahlen might be able to do something over the closing stages.
Bjorn Dahlen actually has just gone past 7.8 kilometres and he's down in 5th. He's 12.5 behind Svensson, but he's only 1.2 seconds behind Malishko.
Yes,
and 2 seconds
and crucially, Mike, he's gained 4 seconds on Malishko to that point of the course. So he is travelling faster than Malishko. Fak was 5.8, and he's still some 6 seconds down on Fak. So he's travelling at the same speed as Jakub Fak. So give him credit.
You just feel that Jakub Fak has lost his brain is screaming. You've got to go faster. But at the moment, his body is in a bit of a dip.
Well, he's still got some 15 seconds in hand over Malishko, but maybe he has to forget the gold, forget the silver, and concentrate on the bronze. Here we go with Eric Lesser. Is this going to be a surprise result? Oh, it could well have been. He would have been out in around 16:35 and contending for a top 3. Mark Kirchner, no emotion whatsoever.
Mark Kirchner knows how to win World Championship sprint races. He did it 5 times. Showed no emotion. Eric Lesser, well, it wouldn't have been first, but it would have been out in 3rd place. Now he's on this penalty loop.
Well, the best of the Germans so far, Andy Birnbacher, all the way down in 19th position.
That's after the second shoot.
That's after the second shoot at that stage. Svensson, Malishko, Fak are the leading 3 after the second shoot as we go to Simon Fourcade. Can he match his brother? He's done it before. He's not on the same sort of form, to be honest.
And the track, Patrick, with a bib number of 83, without a doubt, the corners have broken up. They've become soft and sugary. It was a very, very icy, hard track to begin with.
Well, he's some 15 seconds off the pace of the very best Simon Fourcade. They said he wasn't feeling 100% healthy, but still wanted to race. Maybe this will blow the cobwebs away, and we'll see something special tomorrow in the pursuit. Jakub Fak coming in. Can he claim third place? 23:48 the time he's got to beat. He's done that easily. He can't match Martin Fourcade. Third place for Jakub Fak. Great shooting, 10 out of 10. Many would have put their money on him taking the gold if he shot clear today. Just shows you how good Svensson and Fourcade are, Mike. So Fak has Slovenia in that bronze medal position at the moment. Can he stay ahead of Oleana Bjorn Dahlen, who has yet to go through 9.2? He'll be there in the next 15 seconds or so. Fourcade on 21:34. He's not going to match that. 21:36 is the next target time. He's not going to get it, I don't think, but he's not far away. If he can produce a rare sprint, it could be medal number 50. But don't forget, Mike, over his career, by far and away his best result has come in the pursuit. 37 victories overall. And what happens tomorrow? The pursuit.
That would be a great story for Bjorn Dahlen tomorrow if he can get himself onto the podium. He's just off the podium at the moment.
Here's the man who missed out on a place in the mixed relay, and that one miss could prove very expensive. The last target went down at 8:06 for Schlesinger, and that was certainly good enough to challenge for a medal should he shoot clear in the stand. But the penalty will cost him.
It will cost him dearly. You could just see Andre Rybár. He's so desperate for this small team with a low budget to again win another medal.
Well, I think if they get a top 10 today, they can applaud themselves, but it is all about medals. At the moment, they don't, from what I can see, they haven't got anyone in the top 20 after shoot number 2.
Well, Moravec, remember, in fact, Moravec, of course, bib 62.
Now, Simonader, this will be quick. Again, it doesn't look particularly comfortable. Well, it's like he's shooting at a target that's 3 foot across, Mike. He is fantastic in the standing position, and he's quick as well. So Simonader could be one of the surprises. I still think top 5 is more realistic, but he may be thinking in terms of medals. Out he comes, 11 seconds off the lead.
You know, he lost just 1 or 2 seconds there, getting tied up with the athlete going into the penalty loop. I didn't see who it was. Come on, Bjorn Dahlen, the last little bit.
Into the stadium. He has to get those fast twitch fibers into action if he wants to challenge. 23.36. He's got 6 seconds. I'm afraid he's going to miss out, and it's going to be a slim margin. But what a fantastic effort for Ole-Einar Bjorn Dahlen. He has resurrected his career today with a fantastic run. He knew that if he missed too many targets, he would be left out of the Norwegian team. But with 19.9 and the pursuit to come, he is a real danger, even to Svensson and Forkada.
He absolutely is. Look at that. Take away the penalty loop, Patrick, and we're not seeing 19 seconds behind. We're seeing a victory, because that penalty loop takes 23 seconds today.
The last shot, the very last shot.
What a pity. The track is definitely a little slower, so many factors. So he'll look at all these factors tonight and think, I've got to make it happen tomorrow.
Well, he'll be glad to see his name on the front sheet of the results for the first time in a long time. Bjorn Dahlen proves once again that at 39 he still has what it takes to beat the very best in the world. He's taken the scalp of Malishko and Burf and Shapulin and Lindstrom, who are men who've won World Cups in the last 12 months. Bjorn Ferry down in 11th, shooting 0 for the Swedes. That will certainly cheer him. The Swedes in the same hotel as us. Interesting, Mike. Sweden, USA, the Ukraine staying in what we've called prisoner cell block H, but actually it's a lot more comfortable than that. But the Norwegians living in absolute luxury up on the hills. Simonada. What can he do on his final lap? He's already starting to look tired, trying to get as much recovery on the downhills as possible, as opposed to being able to attack them.
And this is good to see the track. It's not so much broken up on these steeper climbs, but certainly on the corners there's deep sugary snow, which is not as fast. 18 seconds.
And 7th position at the moment. Just looking to see how many places he can hope to gain. Well, I think if he can gain 5 or 6 seconds, he's got a chance of moving up into the top 5. I don't think he's going to do better than that. I don't think he'll challenge Ole-Einar Bjorn Dahlen, who lies in 4th place at the moment. Eric Lesser, 42 behind. He also missed on his last shot, and that 42-second margin, too much to close. But he'll be in a good position for the pursuit. That's one consolation when you miss one shot, Mike. You know that you're going to get a reasonably good start in the pursuit.
Yeah, the shooting today for me has been surprising. I thought at least 10 athletes would shoot the perfect score. At the moment, in fact, we're seeing 5, 6, 7. At the moment, 7 athletes have shot 10 out of 10, but still plenty big names to start.
Arndt Pfeiffer, my goodness, he wouldn't have expected to be starting number 111. He's seen what everyone's done. He knows what he's got to do, and he's a man who really needs some good results to resurrect his not his career, but his season, which has been well below par.
It has, it absolutely has. I must say, an athlete today that is doing so well, Kevin Kane, the British biathlete. He's hit 10 out of 10, one of the few athletes to do that, and he's in 35th position after the stand shoot. That is an outstanding result for Kevin.
Well, Kevin Kane started number 60, so it won't be long before he comes in to finish. Henrik Labilund of Norway, well, he's a class act, but even in the Norwegian team, someone has to go in group number 4, and that's where Labilund is. He gets a massive cheer as he leaves the stadium. Quite difficult, Mike. Almost an hour behind the first starters, and his whole preparation has to be out of sync with the top seeds in his team.
As you say, nearly an hour since the first starter. It's a lot of time to fill. You're in a stadium. It's very difficult to keep away from the action, and we have mentioned a couple of times the track becoming just a little bit slower because it's breaking up. So a number of disadvantages to start later today.
But not much change in the wind conditions, so at least he's got that going for him. But as I say it, the wind switches from left to right to left, so he will have to pay attention if he goes into lanes 15, 16. Lesser 49, losing time all the way around that last lap, and 11th position at the moment. And he is, however, the best of the Germans for now.
49 seconds behind though. That's okay. That's he's in a place. He shoots so well, in a good place for tomorrow on the pursuit race.
I think Krasimir Anev deserves a mention. He started early, number 15, still lying in 10th place for the Bulgarians, and he is one of those who's gone 0-0. Jakub Fak is another who lies in 3rd place. Malishko and Burf hit 10 out of 10, 5th and 6th position, and then Anev, as we mentioned, down in 10th. Everyone else seems to miss 1 or 2. Krokanas of Lithuania, 10 out of 10, top 20 at the moment. That's his PB for the season, certainly, and he's likely only to be pushed down to around 25-26 come the end of the race.
Krug, he's happy, but Simon Eder's beginning to slow down out on the track just when he needs some power left for this final climb.
I think the French learnt a valuable lesson in that mixed relay, Mike, that if you push the first lap hard, you gain 15 seconds or so, but you lose more than that on the last lap because you've got nothing left to give on the hills. We saw it with Burf, we saw it a little bit even with Martin Fourcade. It's
true, and I think that's where it is good to get a run out on day one in the mixed relay. You feel the track, you get rid of any pressure that has built up. L'Abbé Lund, this is competitive. I know it's only 1 kilometre. He tends to start carefully.
Simon Fourcade on chute number 2, clear first time around, already a long way outside the leaders' times. His ski form is way below the best we saw from him last season. The older brother of the two Fourcades, and it's well documented how tough he found it to see his younger brother coming through, and I think that's a dreadful mistake. Another 5-6 seconds thrown away there for Fourcade. He's had to do a couple of 3-point turns, go back, pick up the ski poles before he can get underway. So valuable seconds thrown away yet again, and he's likely to find himself outside the top 23.
Sigi Matset, the shooting coach, he didn't look impressed there. You expect your athlete to get these drills right, especially at the World Championships. Oh, time ticking away.
Simon Eder on the home run now, still a little bit of life in those legs, but we think he's lost a bit of time on the final lap. He was in 7th position. Lindstrom will survive 24.03, and down in 10th. That's how close it is, and that's despite the perfect shoot today. Slightly surprised, but the Austrians they tend to come strong at the end of these championships. Suman wasn't in the mixed relay. In fact, he was away racing somewhere else.
He was racing at the IBU Cup in Orzably, as in fact he is today. So not making the team for these championships. Although maybe brought in for the relay later next weekend. Or the individual.
Well, here's the man who many say is largely responsible for bringing the World Championships here to Nove Mesto. Passionate about his sport and his country. Michael Schlesinger, he desperately wanted a taste of medals, but it's not going to be today. 3 misses in all, and he's going to be so far behind that I think even in the pursuit he won't be able to manage it. Maybe the individual or the mass start, but he's got to qualify for the mass start. And interestingly, Mike, Bjorndalen's not qualified for the mass start, but his result today, top 4, should be good enough.
And I think from what we heard also earlier, I think that good enough to make the relay team, the all-important Norwegian relay team next weekend.
Possibly. That could be medal number 50.
Depends how L'Abbé Lund performs today. And of course, Terje Bo at the finish is down in 17th position. Bjorndalen 4th.
I guess the most impressive thing from that statistic as we watch Mestic is the fact that he's medalled in over 50% of his World Championship races.
Never has there been an athlete, and I don't think there ever will be an athlete with such amazing statistics.
But last week you said Martin Fourcade was the best ever. He's got a way to go, surely.
He's got a way to go, but from what I hear, Fourcade isn't going to hang around too long in the sport. Bjorndalen has served us 20 years at the top. Mestic, I would not have thought he'd miss 2 today. He can handle the pressure normally.
Yeah, I think Bjorndalen 2016 is relevant because I believe the World Championships are going to be in Oslo, and that of course would be a fantastic way to go out, but he's going to have to push another 3 seasons. He'll be well into his 40s by then. Let's have a look at the standings. Well, those were the standings after the second shoot. Svensson, Malishko, Fak, Fourcade. Nice to see an expressive coach.
It is. It's a lot of pain as well.
Well, from those pictures, you can tell which nations have done well. The Norwegians are on top at the moment. Well, Emil Hegle-Svensson, he must have been really nervous with Bjørndalen on that last shoot. And it would be nice to see a shot of his reaction when that last target missed. Lots of rivalry between the Norwegians. And I think Svensson would be the first to say that Bjørndalen played a really key role in the early part of his career.
A huge part. And, of course, he was sponsored by Bjørndalen from when he was, 14-year-old. But Bjørndalen saw the potential in Svensson, and he made it. He certainly financially helped him at that time to become what he is today. Just looking at some of the names at the finish here, Clement Bauer, I thought he was going to... It is a good result, 20th position today at the finish line, only 1:15 behind, but again, his stand shooting's tripping him up. Kevin Kane is still standing strong in 41st position, 2:39 behind. That hopefully will be enough to qualify him in tomorrow's top 60.
Now remember, the early leaders went through this first shoot. They put the last target down at 8:08. Svensson, Bjørndalen and Fourcade were 5 or 6 seconds inside that time. But if Pfeiffer, that miss is going to be crucial. Well, a split round on number 5, a little bit fortunate, but the one miss is enough, and I think Mark Kirchner knows that there will be no Germans on the podium today. Must be a little bit of pressure on Kirchner, and it can't be nice for him, Mike, having Uwe Mussigang as the overall head coach, a man who's been there before and I guess can claim to be the most successful coach ever.
He certainly was for 11 years with the German women's team, where they won so much in World Cup, World Championships, Olympic Games.
Labi Lund was on schedule for a top 15 until that third shot, but the wind, to be fair to him, is it's not necessarily stronger, but it's changing every couple of minutes. The strength and the direction is changing, so it's made it very difficult for the prone shoot in particular. Not enough to give too many problems in the standing position.
Just an athlete I thought would perform really well today based on the relay result. I thought Dominic Vindish, but he's missed 4 and he's down in 40th position at the moment.
Well, no one starting outside the top 75 has featured in the top 10 after the first shoot. Just trying to get a grip of what's going on with the later starters. The best do go early on in groups 1 and 2, so we're not expecting to see too many people come through, but 1 or 2 from the strong teams are forced to start later on. We've already seen Schlesinger, Julian Eberhard of Austria, 28th in the World Cup standings. Arndt Pfeiffer we've seen go through. Now, Christian De Lorenzi, number 85, 0-0, 118. He's not on the same sort of form we saw from him in Antolz.
You know, I really believed in him today, Patrick. I know that his form earlier in the season wasn't good, but I'd heard that his form leading into this had come up a bit, but certainly shooting well. He often performs well at the major championships. This is good from Eriksson. I saw him doing a lot of dry firing in the room in our hotel each day. In fact, Eriksson's in there for about 50 minutes at a time for this moment.
Yeah, the Swedes have taken an extra room in the hotel. They've got a couple of exercise bikes in there just to spin the legs over and rid themselves of any lactate built up during the day's training.
Last 3. And he can't believe it. It's a cruel game. Simon Fourcade, I think he took about 5 or 6 medals, most of them gold at Junior World Championships. He was an outstanding junior. And of course, he was leading the World Cup overall standing into the Olympics in Vancouver.
With 10 targets down, he still only manages 29th position. Zdeněk Vítek for the Czech Republic on the range at the moment, and he hits 5, much to the delight of the crowd, and he's away quicker than anyone else. So Vítek maybe is the man who's going to keep this race alive. He turns left, avoids the penalty loop, and he's back out onto his second loop now. We'll track Vítek on his way round as we watch De Lorenzi coming in to finish. Another man who's shot 0-0, but way below his best ski form at the moment.
Just trying to see where Vitek left the range.
He's gone out in 18th position, Zdenek Vitek, 20 seconds down. That's pretty good. If he can go clear, he'll be competing for a top 10, certainly. And that, I think, would be the best Czech result of the day. It doesn't look as though they're going to have another fairy tale result. Having taken bronze in the mixed relay, they were starting to believe that they could compete in every race, but it's not that easy to do. And Mike, if you spoke to a number of the coaches, we all have been asking questions of various media members. Everyone's saying that today's race was between Svensson and Martin Fourcade. Where have they finished? In first and second position at the moment.
It's incredible. They are that good that you can predict them to be in the medal mix. And Svensson, for me, with a bib number 32, Fourcade bib number 28, for me, they were going to shoot 90% or 100%, and I think the advantage with Svensson on that later start number was what it was all about today, and he took himself to a place he doesn't normally push himself to get this gold medal, 8 seconds ahead of Fourcade.
And are you a little surprised that 3 of the top 4 in the standings at the moment have missed one?
I'm very surprised, really surprised. Of course, Jakob Fack hitting the perfect 10, third place.
Well, Schlesinger across the line, with 3 misses, he finds himself down in 40th position, and that just adds to the disappointment that he felt when he missed out on a place in the mixed relay, and particularly disappointed when they went on to win a medal. But a fine effort from Schlesinger. Well, the countryside round here, a little bit like Dartmoor, I guess, Mike, but with 200% more trees, heavily forested, but just rolling hills, very nice gentle skiing. There's some excellent skiing to be had up on the top of the hills. If you go down below 600 metres, there's not enough snow, but very pleasantly surprised. And even without the steep climbs, they've created a tough enough course for a World Championships.
I think it's an excellent area around here, and in terms of skiing, we were out this morning, and that's got to be some of the best skiing we've ever done, or we've been skiing for a good number of years, and beautiful terrain. And a lot of the public out there this morning as well. And
also surprised to see, or not surprised, but interested to see some of the top athletes, the women, out doing a little bit of classic, the likes of Kaisa Mäkäräinen from Finland. A couple of the Norwegian girls just out for an early morning walk before their race this afternoon. Nice to see how they prepare, just trying to take, and a number of athletes just pushing their prams around as they prepare for the races.
That's right, and Kristen Flatland was out with husband and pram, and just, 5 hours before her race, just taking a gentle stroll.
Jakob Fack lying in 3rd place at the moment. Great run. He with 10 shots out of 10 targets down at the first time of asking. I think will be a little bit disappointed he didn't manage to challenge Fourcade and Svensson, but these 2 men are on flying form. Martin Fourcade, the defending champion, he did almost everything he had to do, but he missed 1 target, and that has cost him a chance of making it double gold. A silver medal almost certainly coming his way, even though there are still a number of very good athletes out on the track. Svensson, for once, had the advantage of starting after Martin Fourcade. So often the Frenchman goes second, and Svensson used that advantage perfectly. A 3-second lead coming into the first shoot. He'd extended that by 10 seconds by the time he left the range for the second time, and no mistake made. He may not have been feeling too good in the mixed relay, Mike, but he's come to life today. He's
on fire. And I don't think he's feeling good. It's just his mind focused to have the advantage to start behind Fourcade. He took himself to a very hard push level out on the track.
So there you see the top 3, and look at number 4. Ole Einar Bjorndalen, 1 shot away from the gold medal. He is still a threat, despite the fact that he's 39. And Dmitry Malishko, I think, more than making up for the fact that he made an absolute Horlicks of the mixed relay. He lost Russia a chance of a medal. Today, he got so close. Malishko hitting 10 out of 10, 23 seconds behind. And Alexis Beur for France in 6th place. So the French, the most successful team. Chapulin of Russia in 7. We've got Lindström. Actually, Mike, an early start for Lindström. He started number 3. But my goodness, with with 2 misses, 38 seconds behind. He's a potential gold medalist.
He really is, and he started this race so calm, so steady, and then really opened up later. Take that penalty away in the prone from Pfeiffer, and he's so competitive. Beautiful. This is going to be Germany's best, I think. Oh no, Lesser's in 11th position.
Well, that will be a little bit of a carrot for Pfeiffer if he gets to hear that he's only got some 7-8 seconds to catch up on Lesser. 40.8 off the lead. He'll know that that's too much to make up, but if he can find some reserves for the last 3 kilometers, Pfeiffer may find himself with a better draw when it comes to the individual. Lund, 4 out of 5 in the prone and 4 out of 5 in the stand. Anderson, he's going to be a nervous wreck by the end of these championships. Nice to see him so involved. He's only a young man, as we mentioned. He was responsible for coaching the Norwegian juniors, but to give them credit, the senior members of the Norwegian team have shown him a lot of respect and listening to him.
They have, and the Norwegians, they do change coaches quite often, and for a young guy to come in, difficult, but he's managed it so well.
So Gao of Canada across the line, 39th position. That is very respectable. He gets himself a start almost certainly in the pursuit tomorrow. Well, let's have another look at those who have taken medals today. Jakub Fak of Slovenia, the gold medalist from the individual in Ruhpolding last year, proves that that is not another flash in the pan. Always good on the major occasions. Well, the women's sprint this afternoon, 3:45 European time, 2:45 if you are watching in the UK. And is it going to be Tora Berger? Will it be Kaiser Mäkäräinen, or will one of the Germans come through? Perhaps Miriam Gustner can make up for her mistakes in the relay. It could go anyway. It'll be a fascinating race, so I hope you join us for that. Martin Fourcade, the silver medal today. He got gold last year, but I think he'll be happy with the silver and knows that he's in good enough form to claim another few bags full of gold here in Nove Mesto. But Svensson, it's not been a brilliant season, only 1 win so far out of the 14 races. He makes it number 2 for the season at the most important time of the season. Well, ski jumping coming up with David Goldstrom from Villingen in Germany. Do stay tuned for that, but don't forget we're back on air 3:45 Central European time for the women's sprint. It's going to be a cracker. We'll see you then. Thanks for your company over the last hour and a half, and thanks to Mike Dixon for all his expert analysis.